This video, we're going to be solving a system of equations using substitution method, okay? This is not the only method to solve a system of equations, but if in the question you're asked to solve using a specific method, then obviously you're going to use that method, okay? So I'm only going to be showing you how to use substitution to solve this type of problem. Okay, now we're very lucky with the way our system of equations is written here. Usually a system of equations, the equations are written in this format, where we have our x and y terms on one hand side, usually left-hand side of the equal sign, and our number term on the right-hand side. And then to do substitution, we would then have to isolate for either our x or y variable in one of our two equations, and then take that and substitute that into our other equation. Now, we are very lucky because look at this. I'm going to number our equations. So we have equation number 1 and equation number 2. Equation number 1, we already have it written so that one of the variables is isolated on the left-hand side, okay? And then everything else, our other terms, variables and number terms, are all over on, in this case, the right-hand side. This makes substitution very easy, okay? We have no extra steps to do. We can simply take this value for y here and substitute it directly into our second equation, okay? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to rewrite our second equation. 5x minus 4. And now we've come to the y term, and we're going to take all this that this y is equal to, and we're going to rewrite it in here, okay? So it's negative 3x plus 5, okay? And see, we substitute that directly where the y was. Then we're just going to rewrite the rest of the equation because there's no more substitution we need to do. So the goal here is we're going to solve for x. See, this x is our only variable here. And then, because we're trying to solve the entire system of equation, we're not just looking for the value of x. We are going to take that value of x that we solve for, and we're going to substitute it back into this first equation here and solve for y. Okay, but that's getting ahead of ourselves. Let's first do what we're already working on and solve for x. Okay, so we need to simplify. Look at all these brackets we have. Okay, so we're going to start by simplifying those brackets. So we have 5x. That's all good. Now, this bracket here, we can just go ahead and drop that bracket, okay? There's no term in front of it. There's no number or there's no sign right here. So we can drop that bracket, so we're just going to ignore it. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this negative 4, and we're going to distribute it through the brackets. We're going to multiply it by every term inside the bracket. Because look at this. In our bracket, we have two terms. One is a variable, the other does not. We cannot simplify what's in these brackets. Okay, so we're just going to distribute. So negative 4 times negative 3x. Well, if we have a negative times a negative, that's a positive. 4 times 3 is 12. And that's still multiplied by the x. Okay, so these two terms multiplied together give us this new term here. And then we're going to multiply negative 4 times positive 5. Well, we have two different signs, so that means it's going to be negative. 4 times 5 is 20. Okay, and now we're going to look at our right-hand side, and we have brackets around this negative 3, but we have nothing in front of the brackets here. We don't have a term, we don't have a number, and we don't have a sign. That means we can simply just drop those brackets, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. So it's just negative 3. Now, we want to combine like terms and simplify. Well, the first thing I see is I have these two like terms here on my left-hand side. So we can go ahead and combine those. So we have 5x plus 12x. That's going to give us 17x. Okay? And that's minus 20 equals minus 3. Now, I want the x by itself. So I need to get this negative 20 term. I need to move that from the left-hand side. So in order to move a term, we need to do the opposite. Okay? So if this is a minus 20, we need to add 20. Okay? Because those are going to cancel, right? So 20 minus 20 is 0. But I need to add this 20 to both sides of my equation, right? Can't just do one side. Or I've now totally changed my equation. I have a new answer. Okay, so we have 20 minus 20. Those are like terms, and they cancel. And we're going to be left with 17x. And then on our right-hand side, we have negative 3 plus 20. We can combine those because they're like terms. and that's going to give us 17. One final step to isolate for this x. We need to see the 17 is multiplied by x, so we need to do the opposite, so we need to divide by 17. And we're going to need to do that on both sides of our equation. 17 divided by 17 is just 1, so this is just x equals 17 divided by 17, which once again is 1. So our x is equal to 1. Okay? Now, we're solving the entire system equation. We're not just looking for what x is equal to. So we need to back substitute is what it's called. So we're going to take this x value and we're going to substitute it into, we're going to use equation 1 because this is nice, right? If we want to see what y is equal to, y is already isolated, right? So we can just plug this value in for x, simplify, and we'll have our answer. Okay, so let's do that right here. We'll say y is equal to bracket -3 square bracket 1. Okay, and then we're going to say plus 5. Okay, so the first thing we're going to want to do is simplify this. Okay, -3 times 1. Okay, the bracket just means there's a multiplication symbol there. So -3 times 1 is simply -3. Okay, we can leave the bracket there for now. Plus 5. Now let's get rid of that bracket. There's nothing in front of this bracket. There's no sign, there's no number, there's no term. So we can simply drop those brackets, and this becomes -3 plus 5. And our final step is we just perform this operation. -3 plus 5 is just 2. Okay? So, have we solved the system of equations? We have a value for x, and we have a value for y. X equals 1, y equals 2. Now, the only other thing you could do, it's not necessary, but some people like to do this just to make sure that the answers they got actually work. You can take this x and y value, and you could substitute them into both of the equations separately, okay? So you'd put the y is 2 here, so you put a 2 here, you take the 1, you put the 1 here, and then you would simplify as needed the left-hand side and the right-hand side of the equations and see if the numbers are equal to each other. And you would do that for both equations. It's not enough to do it for one. If you're checking, you would do it for both your equations, and if the two sides are equal to each other in both equations, then the solutions you found for your x and your y are valid and correct. Okay? We're not going to do that in this video, but it's a simple step. If you want to do it, you can do it. But we have solved this problem, okay? We found that x equals 1 and y equals 2. We used the substitution method, so we have completely solved this question the way we were asked to do, and we found solutions. If you would like to learn how to quickly study for your GED exam online and get a new resume, then visit testprepskills.com.